covering all 4 major sports in the District of Champions. It's the DC Crossover Podcast with your hosts, Mike Cerrone and Ben Simpson.
Hello and welcome to episode 157 of the DC Crossover. I am Ben Simpson. That is Mike Cerrone. Glad to have you with us for yet another episode. Follow us on Twitter at the DC Crossover and at Cerrone16, and on TikTok, DC Crossover Podcast there, and on YouTube as well. We put up the full video version of the show there, if that's how you like to consume podcasts. All right, so yeah, good to be back on the airways. I know we did the last episode towards the end of the week, so Survivor doesn't air till Wednesday, so we won't be doing much Survivor talk, but I will. I was telling Mike today, though, that I saw on Twitter that there's a Survivor video game releasing tomorrow. Perfect timing. And I'm gonna get it. I'll let you know. I'll give you my review, see if it's worth it or not.
They're trying to cash in on the hype right now.
I guess, because there's been Survivor video games in the past and they've all stunk, but this game is supposedly about as good as you could possibly get. Like I watched a guy do a video review of the game on YouTube, and he was like, look, the game's not a great video game, but it's the best possible way to do Survivor in video game form. So I'm excited. I'll definitely be checking that out.
I mean, obviously you haven't played it yet, but what I can imagine a really good Survivor game being kind of like the Oregon Trail, where they have, all right, it's week 1, and they give you choices. So they're hey, do you want to talk to Yolanda or do you want to talk to Henry? And
no, that's what it looks like. It's it's single player. It's not multiplayer online or anything like that. It's like a single player mode, and you can make choices. You can have conversations with people. You can form alliances with people. You can go look for immunity idols if you want.
You look at their bios and stuff.
So apparently, the cool thing about it sounded like is every time you play. So you play, and if you get eliminated, you're done. You have to just start over from the beginning. So it's not you get to reset from where you are. It's it's one and done for the game. But every time you reset, it brings in new archetypes and new types of people that you're playing with in the game. So some of the time, you could play a round of the game where everybody hates you, and you could play another round where everybody is more receptive to alliances and stuff. So it sounds cool. Apparently the challenges kind of stink. That mode kind of sucks, but it sounds like the other stuff is pretty cool. So I'm very excited. I mean, I'm ready to download it tomorrow. Hopefully it's not $60 like games are nowadays. Hopefully they bring that price down, because I just found out about it today, so I can't imagine there's tons of hype about it. But we'll see. I'll definitely review it and give you the spiel.
Hey, by the way, my backyard football is on its way. From the third party seller.
Good.
So I honestly am so pumped just to keep it in my work bag, so I can just take it to work every time, and whenever I have an off period, I'll be playing it. Because sometimes, during off periods and stuff like that, for my job as a PE teacher, it's very easy to plan and everything like that. So that's where I sympathize with actual classroom teachers.
Sure.
Because it's very easy. More so for us, the challenge is classroom management and different things of that nature. But
you got a bunch of kids running around getting hurt all the time.
Yeah. And we actually have a curriculum too. We actually have to teach them how to not suck at things. And the biggest thing about it is, during my off periods, I just want to sit there and enjoy myself. And I figured that this might be the best way
to do it,
because I saw on the talk that someone was playing backyard football live. They were streaming it, and then all of a sudden I was like, I got to get it. So I went on Amazon and I looked it up, and literally someone was a third party seller was selling it for $12, and I was like, I'll pay the $3 shipping to get backyard football, so I can play with the humongous rockets or something like that.
Do you have so is it a desktop with a work, or is it a laptop that has a CD-ROM drive in it? Because that's the whole thing too. If you're getting a CD game, you need to have the ability to put it in the laptop.
Wait a second. I don't think that was.
So here's what they do make. I guess your next order will be. So what they do make is you can get a CD-ROM thing that just plugs in USB into the computer. So like it's like the disc holder. It's like a square little
Okay.
disc holder where you put the disc in, and then you plug it into the laptop via USB. So you do need that in order to play the game.
Okay. Okay. So what's it called? Like
I don't know. CD, like probably like
CD-ROM to
CD-ROM USB. Let me look.
CD-ROM external drive for
Yeah,
laptop.
it looks like you can get it for under $20, like $15 on
Okay,
Amazon. I
now I
see one
see
for
it.
like 17, something like that. So yeah, like you could probably get it for like, yeah, I mean you don't need a fancy one. You could probably get one for $15.
15.99 for Prime. Okay. Oh, I think this external CD DVD drive for laptop.
Yeah, that's what you need. Cuz that's a weird thing is like they don't really make um they don't really make laptops for like with disk drives
Dude,
anymore.
thank God you said that because honestly, I'm just so because I mean we grew up with them like that, so it's like I didn't even think about it, and now all of a
Yeah.
sudden, which is weird. Why don't they have those anymore? I
I
don't get
know.
it.
I don't know either. I don't know, but because I've run into this once before. Because when I used to play backyard baseball during one of my old jobs, it was the same thing where I was like, but I don't even know where my little USB CD drive thing is. Otherwise, I'd just give it to you. But I have no idea where it is. But yeah, you just get that, and then you'll be set. Then you'll be
Here,
set.
let me show it to you. Like,
Yeah, that looks right. Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm making because
You would have had the game arrive. You would have been looking at your laptop like, what am I supposed to do? Press it against the screen.
oh my! I would have been so tilted if I got it, and
Yeah.
I would have been like, yes, and it came in the mail, and all
Load
of
it
a sudden,
up,
like,
and then you're just
the,
like,
the next day,
no.
I throw it in my bag, and the next day I get to work, and all of a sudden I'm like, God damn it!
Not good, not good. But yeah, you'll get that figured out. So we'll get into a little bit of the Commanders Eagles talking a bit. We also have trivia and other stuff to play, our picks and all that. But we want to talk about obviously Thursday is Thursday night football.
Yep.
Bears, or not Lions Bears, sorry, Commanders Bears. A game that probably no one outside of Chicago and DC actually cares about, especially with how bad the Bears have been. I mean, the fact that the Bears lost that game Sunday is insane. Because
Yeah,
I
really.
wasn't watching it too closely, but I was getting like text updates, and it was like Fields another touchdown, Fields another touchdown. I was like, oh, okay, the Bears are going to get their first one of the season, I guess. And then when I saw the final score, I was like, oh my God, they lost that game. That's insane. And then of course the Commanders losing, which we'll talk. But so with Thursday, you're going to the game.
Indeed.
And so for that type of scenario, are you going like right after school basically in order to get there at a decent time? I know the game's at like 8 though, right?
Yeah, so we kind of planned it ahead of time because my buddies and I were talking about it, and they wanted to go to, a primetime game or something like that. And I'm like, I don't really want to go to a 1 o'clock game. It's not really fun for me. Now, if you go to a 4 o'clock game where it means something or something
Right,
of that
right.
nature, sweet. But we have a Thursday night is the only prime time we have. So preferably, I like to, or preferably, is that the right way?
No, it doesn't matter.
Preferably, I'd like to have it like a Monday night and take off, say, like a
Right,
Tuesday.
right.
But so we're taking off Friday, and on Thursday, I have a double class. So obviously in PE, we have two classes coming at the same time, and we're supposed to both be in there. But I probably shouldn't say this, but who cares? But
They're not listening.
I'm going to cover my co-teacher's single earlier in the day, and then she said I'll just take the double. So we ended up kind of working it out because sometimes like she's like, hey, I gotta go let the dog out real quick or something like that, and I'll
you make it
so
work.
we kind of go simpatico with that, but what we're gonna do is do that. Jess is getting off early, and I don't know what the other people are doing. I don't really care. But we're all four of us are getting in one car because no one has a car that seats more than six.
Right.
So we basically said, all right, we're gonna get everyone and meet there, and then we're gonna tailgate there. So I'm basically gonna try to leave around here by like 3:30.
Nice. Okay.
So
Even if it ends up being like insane traffic and it takes like an hour and a half or something, like you're still there or a couple hours really.
I would think that before 4 o'clock would be the safest bet.
You would hope, yeah.
Yeah, so you'd hope. So
at least you can get down there in theory and like still have a bunch of time before the game. You do a little tailgating.
Yep.
Yeah. You'd have the ability to do
So
that.
so there's going to be, and this is what I wanted to go over with you. There's going to be at least like I don't know, maybe 15 to 20 people are going to go into this. Now we all have different tickets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But my tickets are pretty damn good. I mean, they're like
Nice.
I don't know, maybe like 15 rows up from the end zone or something like that. I mean, maybe it's a little bit more than that. I forgot exactly where it is. But I know that's kind of the area. And my buddy, God bless his soul, he's just sometimes he's just as dumb as a post.
Okay.
I mean, so I sent him the tickets first. This is the first,
Yeah, first sign
thing.
of okay.
First sign of a rough day for him.
Right.
So he said, I want. He said, what did he say? He said, "Is this in the away section or the visitors section?" I said, "What?" And he was like, "Is this in the visitors section?" I said, "We're not at a high school football game where they have two sets of stands, dude." And he's like, "Yeah, but it's in the visitors section." I was like,
"No such thing as
I said, it's a stadium. I mean, like, people get tickets everywhere. I mean, there's probably tickets right next to us that are for sale too."
Right.
And he's like, "Well, I don't want to be next to a bunch of Bears fans." And I said, first of all, I highly doubt there's a lot of Bears fans that are going.
Especially with the team being this bad. Yeah.
Secondly, I can't control if you're next to Bears fans.
Yeah.
Whether it's in the nosebleeds or it's front row.
Right.
So we kind of went off on that. And
also, what does this guy like have a history with Bears fans? Like, why? That's just like a strange thing. Bears fans aren't like when I think about annoying NFL fans in the leagues, Bears fans don't necessarily strike me as an annoying bunch. They've been so terrible. I mean, the fans that I wouldn't want to be sitting next to are like Philly fans, Patriots fans, like
Cowboys fans.
Yeah,
Cowboys, even though I will say Cowboys fans are a lot nicer because when I had access to like 2 or 3 games a year sometimes, I went to the Cowboys every year for like 4 straight years. And the best part about it was they jaw back and forth here. Yeah. But it's fun,
Which is what it should be. It should be like, a fun trash talk. Shouldn't be like, this guy's going to punch my face in. Like, at some of these games, you're watching
But they said
videos.
that like, with the Eagles, it's different. But the Cowboys was not a lot nicer and stuff like that. But the Eagles, it's like, that guy wants to hit you with a freaking piece of bamboo
just because of the color you're wearing. Like, it's like, it's crazy. It's crazy. So this guy sounds to me like he might be a problem. At this
so we've gone to a lot of games before, but the problem is when he goes to games, he always wants to get really good seats, and he wants to get really good seats, or he really wants to, do it big or something like that. So here's the thing that ticked me off the other night, which actually was last night, because we were talking about it during the Sunday night football game where my parlay was so close, and then all of a sudden Patrick Mahomes slid, so I started getting even more irritated. So we were talking about what we're gonna bring. And they have these little Smoky Joes or whatever, little like, tiny little grills that you put like over a tailgate or whatever. They put charcoal in and everything like that. First things first, we went to the Nickelback Brantley Gilbert concert at Jiffy Lube. Nice. What was like a month ago or something like that. Awesome. Great concert, all that kind of stuff. And we brought that Smoky Joe thing out. And the first thing that this guy wanted to, and if he listens to this, I could care less. Kiss my ass. So basically, the first thing he does is say, "Yeah, I'll bring some steaks." And I said, "Steaks?
Steaks?"
I said, "Why?" We're tailgating and we're drinking, listening to music, and we're tailgating. Why are you going to bring like
the most difficult? I need a fork and knife. I gotta, ask. Do you want it medium rare? Do you want it?
So he does that. So I kind of correct him and I get on him for that, right?
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden we're unpacking his truck for the concert. He brings out a cutting board, like he brought out like tomatoes. He's like cutting them. I'm like, dude, what are you doing, man? Like we're not out here for 5 hours. We're out here for like 2, maybe 2.5 hours, something like that. You don't, because the problem was he spent 85% of it doing all this chopping up stuff, and he's not a chef or anything, but it's like he's doing all this stuff, and it's like, dude, I don't need like strip steak and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's just not. It's a nice thought, but it's just not, like you said, it's just not needed. So, tailgate food, you want to keep it light, keep it
exactly,
keep it easy to eat.
Here, don't say anything. Don't say anything yet, okay? Because I'm going to ask you what your thoughts are.
Right.
So last night he says, "Yeah, I think I'm going to bring some steaks and stuff like that." And we're like, I said, dude, you got to stop with the steak nonsense, okay? It's not because one time we were at Hooters, because Hooters is kind of like a midway spot for me and him and a couple other friends, whatever. So we kind of go there because it's easy to get to 66 from there and all that kind of stuff. So we go there, and one time he was like having a hankering for crab legs and ordered crab legs at Hooters.
At Hooters.
So get
Oh,
this.
God.
So he ordered it there, and even the waitress was like, what?
Yeah. She's like, I don't even know if we have these anymore. Like, we gotta fish them out of the ice box.
So I started laughing because we all made fun of him for that, and they brought out crab legs. And I'm like, come on now, let's be honest here. So I suggested as a joke, I said, yeah, maybe we'll get a couple crab legs too, or something like that. He said, yeah, a bushel of crabs might be a good idea too.
Crabs.
And I said, oh my God, he's just not getting it. Like he's just like, and meanwhile, my other buddy is just laughing his butt off, like doing little bubbles and stuff like that,
right.
because he knows that I'm getting so ticked off. Because this is how me and the other guy communicate.
Yeah.
So we always just sit there and bicker, and he just watches.
That's how it works with friend groups sometimes, you know.
So I sit there, I'm like, oh my God, like, and then all of a sudden, he said something like he was gonna bring some. I forgot what the other thing was, but I said, dude, you don't understand, okay? You don't sit there and pick crabs.
No, that's like the most complicated dish is a crab, because you got to like take a freaking hammer and like, you know, breaking this, and you got to peel a little, and it's always like, you know, it can be fun, but in the right scenario, like, yeah, not at a tailgate where you're like, yeah, trying to walk around, have a good time, like, no, that's a disaster.
I just looked and saw the last thing he said. He said, "Yeah, I'll bring a rotisserie chicken," and I said, dude, I literally might jump off a bridge. Like, I'm like, what am I gonna sit here and pluck the chicken? Like now he might have meant like, oh yeah, it's already peeled or something like that.
Still.
But at the same time, it's like he doesn't understand that a tailgate, which I'm gonna get to you now with this.
Right.
A tailgate has rules. So the tailgating rules are finger foods only.
Yeah, has to be.
Easy eats.
Right.
Okay. Alcohol and something that if you grill it, that's not pre-made, okay? It's quick. A hot dog, a hamburger, something like that. Right. So I want to know what your tailgating rules are, because this guy, obviously, whenever I talk, it's like he's looking at a dolphin squeak or something, because he doesn't get it. Because the biggest thing when it comes down to these rules is that, and he started laughing at me because he's like, why are you trying to, you know, do all these unwritten rules? And I said, what do you mean unwritten rules? Sorry, I don't want to get a chimichanga at a freaking tailgate.
No, that's exactly it. It's like, look, there are certain people that part of their tailgate setup is like, you know, they make like a big rack of ribs, like they have a full giant setup, and like those are people that are usually doing this as an all-day thing. Like, you know, they've got a ton of time. They're doing a ton of that prep, you know, things along those lines. But, like, for a low-key tailgate, 10, 15 people, small little grills, it's hot dogs, it's burgers. It's the easiest foods that you can just hold in your hand, shove in your mouth, and, like, yeah, you want to bring out a bowl of chips, sure. Like, you know, that sort of stuff.
Chicken nuggets, stuff like that.
Yeah. But no, like doing the big meals, like are big, yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. And so actually, when I was thinking about this, I pulled up this article, and I want to see how some of these rules hit you, because I found an article that actually says, you know, this is from Thrillist.com, how to tailgate, and here are some of their rules. I won't read them all, but
let's go.
So one of the rules here: if you're gonna sit on the cooler, don't complain when someone wants to open the cooler every 15 seconds.
Right.
So sometimes, and which is true, I mean, sometimes seating is hard to find. If you didn't bring enough chairs, a cooler can be a great option for a seat. But, yeah, you can't complain when people need to get their drink. So I get that. Don't bring a six-pack of crappy beer and assume that entitles you to somebody else's whiskey.
I
is
can
one
see
of the
that.
rules there. So, you know, and some of this depends on kind of who you're with. But this one, never get yourself another beverage without offering to get someone else another beverage. That's just kind of common courtesy there. Only bring prepared food if it's awesome. Otherwise, you should be grilling something.
Right, because you think about that,
exactly
it's
what
like
we're talking about.
You're not going to bring some like thing that maybe three people like buffalo dip. Awesome, great,
right.
You know,
right.
Get one of those disposable spoons out and let someone scoop. Now you can't dip yourself in there, but you got to, you know, just scoop it out. Done. Yeah. Something that you can see on a paper plate is what you should have. I'm not going to sit there and have a filet mignon or have a chicken thigh or
That's
a chicken
steak
breast
knives around the room. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. This rule: don't expect anyone to accommodate food allergies. The parking lot is a gluten-free free zone. So
Yes.
yeah, makes sense. That's definitely it. If you're a visiting fan who got invited to a home team tailgate, don't overdo it on the team gear. You're just going to embarrass whoever invited you. But if you're at home, definitely wear your home jerseys and stuff like that. That makes sense. This one, don't show off your arm, like in case guys are like throwing football. So in the parking lot, it says nobody wants to sprint after your Jamarcus Russell like heaves and then get glared at when they narrowly miss landing in some random dude's face. So I like that one. If you're not going to help cook, help clean up. Don't assume that bringing beverages exonerates you from cleanup duty. It says cooking for 12 people is a lot more work than showing up with 12 beers.
Yeah.
Don't sit in someone else's super awesome tailgating chair. Buy your own super awesome tailgating chair. You know that rule that says you shouldn't date someone if they're younger than half your age? Don't be that old guy hooting and hollering with all the college kids. So, if in the tailgate party, it's saying older, don't necessarily.
Hey, so what's funny is that this group that we're going with now, a lot of them are like my buddy's work because he's a co-owner of a company. So a lot of them is last time we went was his Christmas party, and he got a suite for the company.
Oh damn.
And of course, me and my other buddy were invited. Of course, I'm not going to not get invited to that.
Right.
And
right.
and the biggest thing about it is that we ended up caravanning like 3 cars, and we were gonna play cornhole, and then all of a sudden, literally, they parked on like a mountain in the FedEx parking lot.
Yeah.
Like we were so far away, and literally, if you were on one end of the cornhole, it wasn't even worth it. And by that time that we all got the cornhole out because we weren't paying attention, we were literally you put a beer on the ground, it would have rolled all the way down the parking lot. Like it was like I was on Mount Everest.
That's a great point from a rules perspective. It's like parking is crucial when it comes to a tailgate.
Yep.
Like these are things to think about. There's only like a couple more here. Don't forget the damn solo cups. Don't forget the damn bottle opener.
Yep.
And then the last one, remember it's a marathon, not a sprint. And that's definitely key. I mean, especially when it comes to drinking and things like that, it's like you don't want to be the guy that just drinks way too much before you even go into the game, and then you're belligerent when you walk into the stadium. Like that's why you just ease in with some of the, we always call it crappy beer, even though like your Bud Lights, your whatever, like the easy drinking beer where you can just like you get a couple of those, you feel fine, like you're
right.
in good shape for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's just my biggest thing was because the problem is when you go with people, if they have the grill or something like that, okay, if you want to make steak and all that crap, fine. But I think that honestly, we should go and say, all right, let's get 150 wings and maybe, I don't know, just some other stuff.
Right.
That we can like, make burgers real quick or make hot dogs. Get like 20 burgers, 20 hot dogs or whatever.
Yeah.
People just need something on their stomach before they go in the game. They're not sitting there having like a appetizer, then a dinner, and then an entree and all.
Yeah.
Like,
what you're trying to do is avoid having to spend money on like $15 hot dogs in the stadium.
Right.
That's the whole point. And like, yeah, no, there are definitely all these types of things to consider when it comes to a good solid tailgate. So I'm looking forward to hearing the review of not only the game but of the tailgate situation on our next episode. I'm excited.
There will be some
that.
judging, I bet.
I'm very excited for that. We'll touch briefly on the Commanders. I won't spend a ton of time on this, but yeah, tough loss. Closer game than I thought. I mean, it was funny.
Of course,
when I was shopping for groceries that Sunday morning, I was talking to the person checking me out on the line, and I was like,
"Whoa!"
And she no, not in that way. And she was like, "She's like, it will be a good day if the Commanders win." And I was like, "Might be tough today." And then, hey, she's
the same
right.
lady.
I mean, it's always the same lady every time.
Dude, you got to get it. You got to get her name, man.
I know. I don't know.
But leave it at that. Don't get her number or anything like that.
I wasn't planning on it. But she always does the groceries every time I go. She's super nice. And like, she's used to seeing me Sunday mornings at like 8 a.m. But yeah, so now I'll be happy to see her next time. I'll be like, hey, they made it a game. And they did, losing in overtime.
They made it. Well, next time you talk to her, it's going to be a Thursday night game. So you can say, hey,
true.
What about those last 2 games?
Yeah, because I'll be like, hey, the Commanders won by 50. What a good win there. So yeah, close game. I mean, definitely was surprising. I figured the Commanders obviously weren't going to get like the doors blown off them.
Right.
But the fact that this team was like legitimately, kind of winning this game for at least for the first half, and then that nice little fourth quarter comeback as well. Yeah, this was kind of a fun one. I mean, I think a lot to like here, especially with Sam Howell. I think a lot of people lost faith with him a little bit last game, and then I think you have a game like this where it's like, all right, again, this is why you got to give guys large sample sizes. You got to give them some time to develop because he's looking pretty darn good. I mean, definitely making good decisions, making good throws. He doesn't, no picks in the game. You got to love that as well. And, made some big throws in some big moments and led this team back. And you got to just hand it to the guy that, like, hey, if this is the quarterback, if this is the guy for the next few seasons at least, I think you got to be happy with this type of performance from him.
The biggest thing that you have to look at was he going to be resilient after a huge letdown, after four picks, after the Bills just thrashed them all over the field. And I think he was. Honestly, when you're looking at this game, they came out firing on all cylinders. Basically, him and Bieniemy are starting to create this relationship that they're starting to trust each other. They're starting to learn each other's tendencies now that they have multiple games underneath their belt. And the biggest thing is you have to look at not just his stat line, but look at the drives that he was at the helm, obviously, as the quarterback, and what they did in the first half. 3 out of 4 drives resulted in points, 1 field goal, 2 touchdowns. All 3 of those drives were lengthy drives, except for the 7-play one. That one didn't go that long, but the opening drive, 14 plays. The field goal drive, 11 plays. And honestly, if you look at last year was when Taylor Heineke, and even though we had our reservations about Taylor Heineke and all that kind of stuff and how much ability he had, when the team dominated certain teams and when they were on that little small win streak and everything like that nature, they were controlling the clock. And when you do that and you only give the Eagles maybe 3-4 chances tops to basically go out there and score points with you in the first half, there's only 8 possessions. I mean, that's pretty damn good. I actually like to see that because you need to know that he can go out there even with the bad offensive line. And, you're all hearing about the Eagles' defensive line, how great they were. They didn't do too well yesterday. So you're thinking about it and saying the offensive line, now we're not saying they're fixed or anything like that.
5 sacks still.
Still. But going back to basically the what am I trying to say? The resiliency of Sam Howell, it's like he came back and wasn't shaken, wasn't stirred up or anything of that nature, and threw for 290, rushed for 40, 330 total yards just for himself. So when you're looking at it and playing another premier opponent, I think that is a huge plus because you have to understand that in this league, literally you can get swallowed and spit right back up by so many different things because of the sole fact that you look at Sam Bradford, number 1 overall pick, got beat up for multiple years with the Rams and all these other teams, whatever. And he ended up having his career just basically, out. And then you look at a guy like David Carr. I mean, David Carr was the exact same way. So I'm looking at Sam Howell and saying, okay, he needs to just make sure that he's still in the ball game. Okay. One bad game. We already talked about it. He's going to take his bumps, going to take his lumps, everything of that nature. But you have to look at it this way and say it's a huge plus to see the resiliency rather than a stat line. And what I see is he went out there, said, hey, we got nothing to lose right now. We're on the road. We're playing the Eagles, who were in the Super Bowl last year. We're playing Jalen Hurts, who's rated as one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the entire league. They got a bunch of guys on the defensive line, Jalen Carter and all these other guys. You have to look at what he thought about during that first drive and said, I'm going to go out in here and score a touchdown and try to say, wow, we can actually compete with these guys just like they won last year. So I just think, honestly, that's the thing that I looked at and was more impressed with the most of this game was the resiliency, how he recovered from a terrible week previously, and he went out there and did his thing. Even though it resulted in a loss, he still put up, once again, another 30-point performance, which if you think about it, like I said a couple weeks ago, this team never scores 30 points.
Yeah.
So
true.
overall, I'll take a 30-point performance all day. The defense just has to step up a little bit and play up to their potential.
Wild touchdown pass to Dots and the kind of the redo that they got because they had just, I mean, that initial if the initial pass, the previous play had been caught, that would have been game. I mean, it was at like the 3-yard line or something like that. Time would have expired. The team would have been done. And then so getting that chance again to make another pass this time, hitting Dotson, I mean, that was huge. I mean, the big conversation talking point around this team on Twitter and on the radio, the big talk is, should this team have gone for 2 and tried to win the game?
Yep.
And there's obviously arguments for both sides. I think, I tend to lean on it depends on kind of this is just my philosophy. It kind of depends on like what type of team you are. If you're a team that like could be contending for the playoffs, you could be you could be really like actually be a contender this year, then maybe, you just kick the kick and you're like, we're better than this team. We'll beat them in overtime or something like that. You trust your team in that situation. If you're a team like the Commanders who like, look, you're not going to win this division. I mean, you're not going to be going for anything. I don't mind going for 2 there. I mean, I think Ron even had some comments like, people were pulling comments from like a season or 2 ago where he had said like, I'm always going to, be going for the win in that scenario when he was like asked about it. And then of course, after the game, he talked about how, he felt like his team they were gassed. They were tired after, obviously they pulled together this amazing drive to tie up the game. And he figured they had nothing left in the tank to try and win the game there. I don't know. I always like going for the win.
Here's the problem though, is exactly what you just said right there is, oh, the guys were gassed. Well, you know who else was gassed? The Eagles who were trying to
after defending
stop
that
them.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally, a minute and 43 seconds was gone through, and there was a timeout or 2 in there, I believe. I know there's at least one by the Eagles, but it's like, hey, they were gassed. That's it. But honestly, you're not supposed to win that game. I mean, the spread, I believe, what was it, 7 or something like that? I don't even remember what it was exactly, maybe 5.5. But you're looking at it and saying, you're in Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Eagles are one of the
9.5 at one point.
Yeah, but
when I bet it.
Yeah, but you think about it though. It's like the Philadelphia Eagles are one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah.
You have the opportunity right here with no time on the clock
take them down,
to say, hey, we're gonna play this one play out. We've practiced this one play that is in the situation because they do that all the time in practice.
Yeah.
We're gonna do this one play. If it works, great. If it doesn't, at least we're not going to be called, P word.
Right.
At least
you're throwing it into overtime. It's like you're throwing it up to chance. Like Eagles. If Eagles started with the ball and score a touchdown, you're done. You don't even get a shot.
Exactly.
So at least you can control your destiny a little bit.
Yeah.
With this type of scenario, it's like, all right, we're gonna win or lose this game, but we're gonna be the ones deciding it. It's not gonna be up to a coin flip or a 50-something yard field goal from the Eagles to win the game. It's like, I'm definitely. It's like I would not. Sure, would there have been some critics if Ron did go for it and they lose?
Probably.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot more people would have thrown the respect their way to say like, all right, they
put your balls on the table and go out there and go for 2.
I mean, there's you got to think that you run a play action and a guy like Logan Thomas with his height, you could hit him, or you find a scary Terry somewhere, or you even try to I don't know about running the rock in that situation, but like you got to feel like you have a play there, like you said, you practice this. You're a professional football team.
You got 2 yards,
2
yards for a win or 2 yards for a loss. It's one of those 2.
Right.
I mean, you're already playing with destiny and already flirting with it with 15-yard or 10-yard or whatever exactly it was past Dotson as time expired.
Right.
I mean, you're thinking about it and saying that if Curtis Samuel would have caught the ball in the previous play, the game would have been over anyways. Yeah. So you're literally rolling the dice here, and now you're saying, oh, my team is gassed, so let's go to overtime. It's like that. If your team was gassed, now they got to go drive the entire length of the field again. So you're saying it's like
do it.
It just makes no sense in my opinion. Like now thinking about it, I go back and I'm kind of questioning and saying, you know what? Maybe in his head, the hype was too crazy that they got that touchdown, because right when they got that touchdown, you have to think about the play clock, because typically when you get a touchdown, The PAT team is already ready to rock and roll and all that kind of stuff. They're
Right,
sitting
right,
there. They didn't have and they didn't have any timeouts. That was the
right.
problem. So they
But
didn't have any timeouts.
this is what you practice.
Exactly. So
You're a professional NFL team. They practice this scenario.
Yeah.
No timeouts on the clock. We tie the game up. We're going for 2. Like, I guarantee they have practiced that.
Oh yeah,
And so
I'm sure
like
they have.
that's when you got to be. And again, it really comes down to Ron, where that's where it's got to be like, is your team prepped for this scenario? And if the answer is no, that's kind of on you, man. Like that's the big thing. If your team's not ready to go, and on the road game, division rival, chance to beat them in their house, then that's your fault. And that just shows, again, maybe they did have a play cooked up, but like you said, maybe he had 2 roads to go down, and he went down the more conservative road and ended up biting back this team because they end up losing. And that's the one thing. It's one thing if it's the college rules where like, all right, we're both going to get a shot at this thing. NFL though, like, dude, I hate NFL overtimes. It's just such a crapshoot. You got to do everything you can to avoid going into overtime when it comes to this. I mean, any sort of overtime that could lead to a tie, that's a bad overtime.
Yeah.
I hate
it. It just tilts me that we want, as they always said, Riverboat Ron. Now he's never called Riverboat Ron here anymore because there's never any chances taken. That's the biggest thing that I look at is you have to say, I'm going to put my balls on the table here and say, I'm going to go for this thing and I'm going to take any criticism for what it is. And if someone says, well, why wouldn't you go to overtime there? I would say, because I was trying to win the game, because I thought my guys could win the game right there. And if you say that, what are they going to criticize you for? What are they going to sit there and say, oh yeah, that's a terrible decision, Ron. You should have gone to overtime and tried to duke it out with one of the top 5 teams in the league. No, you're not going to sit there and say that. I mean, honestly, the Denver game, that was chalked up as a 50-50 game at the time before the season started. Now Denver sucks. But at the same time, you're saying that if we go in there and we beat Philly, we're 3-1. The over-under was what, 6.5? For our season win total, or almost halfway there in 4 weeks. It's like, you think about it, that would have changed the whole entire outlook of this early season, because then you go and you play the Bears. Say you go, you beat the Eagles, you play the Bears, all of a sudden you're 4-1.
4-1. Yeah,
4-1.
Yeah, right.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Now, if we beat the Bears with 3-2, the big difference between 4-1 and 3-2.
The Eagles likely, the Eagles may win their next game. I don't know, but you could be right there, like you said. No, and like look how bad the Cowboys have been looking too. So it's like, I'm with you. I think.
Well, Cowboys look pretty good this week, but you're talking about the Cardinals game.
The Cardinals game, but still, there are certain moments in a season you can look back on. In any sport, where it's like, all right, if that one little thing had gone this other way, our season could have ended up differently. And I think we're going to look back at this maybe. It's just some tweets from around the league. Graham Paulson tweeted, shocked Rivera didn't go for 2. His nickname is Riverboat Ron. You're 2-1 on the road, heavy underdogs, and 2 yards from a win. I cannot wrap my head around going for a game-tying extra point there. Armando Salguera tweeted, officially retiring Riverboat Ron nickname. You had Eagles fans tweeting Rivera's a loser for not going for 2. You had Barstool Nate tweeting, this is the worst excuse. This was after Rivera talked about being gassed. He said, this is the worst excuse I've ever heard from a coach. Rivera has entered into a new form of clueless. I'm positive the guys could have found the energy to run one more play from the 2-yard line.
Well, what's funny is what they should have done, which, of course, you never really think it's going to get down to that situation. But when you look at that stupid play that, it's funny that about a week or 2 ago, I think it was Barstool where someone said, like, should they outlaw the Philly push or whatever the hell it's called?
Oh, the
push or whatever the heck it's called. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, I mean, if you can't stop it, you can't stop it. Yeah. But then, of course, it happens to us, and I was pissed. But you should have gone out there this week in practice and spent like 15 minutes maybe a day on that exact same play.
Yeah, because you knew it was coming. Yeah.
Because what would it feel like to be a Philly fan and that play basically win the battle 95% of the time, and all of a sudden the Washington Commanders comes on your field, overtime in the balance, and they say, we're going for 2, and we're doing that exact same play.
That would be sick.
We're putting Logan Thomas and John Allen as running backs. and you have Sam Howell get the snap, and they just pick him up and throw him over the goal line.
Right. Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, no, why not? If you see that proven that it can work, it's like, yeah, why not? I'm with you. I just there's no creativity, there's no like extra thought here. There's no for Rivera, it's like you're playing. I mean, again, this is a season where you kind of just can go for it in that type of scenario. Like, no one's going to follow you if the Commanders don't make the playoffs this year. Like, nobody's really expecting that. Like you said, a 6.5 win total or whatever. So why not go for that? And also, the fourth and short in overtime, punting there too. Like, that was another scenario of like, where is the gambling? And like, I hate to compare coaches, but you look at a guy like Dan Campbell, who's like, you see some of the fun things he's done for the Lions for a team that is starting to win is, hey, he's going for it on fourth down all the time. Like, he's making these kind of gutsy calls, and does it always work? No, but when it does work, you're like, man, that guy's got balls. Like that.
Well, here's the thing. Going along with what you were saying, I actually was thinking about that right before you started talking, that literally when you look at this team and this organization, I mean, with previous coaches and so on and so forth, I just feel like there's never any creativity when it gets inside the red zone.
No.
I mean, you always see these teams go out there and you had the Tebow jump pass, and I think Derrick Henry
look at
did
the crazy
yesterday.
stuff Miami does on a weekly basis. They run some insane plays. You're like, what the hell is this formation?
Yeah, you're like, where did this guy even come from? Like, he came from the sideline or something.
He'll
it's
run
like,
Tyreek Hill like over behind the coach, and then he'll like pop out, and then suddenly he'll be catching. No, it's crazy.
It's nuts, and I just don't see any now. It's early with Eric Bieniemy. I understand that. I can get that. And obviously, he was trying to win the game as well and different things like that, and which he did. I mean, again, like I said before, it's literally fun to see this team go out and score 30-plus points.
Yeah.
They came back against the Broncos. Okay. They I guess you could say technically they definitely came back against the Eagles too, but another 31 points. I mean, you're seeing 30 points in multiple games, to the point where I don't have the stat in front of me of where they're ranked in total points for the season so far. But at the same time, you're looking at it and saying, at least they're scoring. The defense will come around. I get that. I'm not worried about the defense. But the problem is that you can't be predictable when you're in the red zone. You can't be predictable when you're inside the 5-yard line, where you're like, all right, we're gonna do halfback smash or whatever.
Right.
You got to do counters. You got to do different things of that nature where the holes open up. And yes, this offensive line blows, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure every now and again you can go out there and find a hole left or right to go 2 yards. I mean, that's our specialty, is going 2 to 3 yards.
Yeah, and if you can't, then you don't belong in this league. Like, if you can't figure that out, then you don't have the right guys. But yeah, for a 2-2 team, besides the Bills shellacking, this has been a pretty fun season to watch. I mean, I think like there's a lot to like about those 3 other games. So yeah, I mean, I think the main thing with this season has got to be like, all right, is there some signs of what could come, what to come here? And like, I think the Howell McLaurin connection clearly can be there. They even worked Curtis Samuel in at times. The running back situation, I mean, you don't love Gibson and Robinson both fumbling in that game.
Yeah.
That's not ideal. I still think from a running back standpoint, this team may need to find some other answers there in the long term. But yeah, I mean, overall, a loss, but an encouraging loss. So we got to be happy with that. Let's move on to the money line, sponsored by DraftKings. Your boy went 2-0 last week. Mike went 1-1. So right now I'm 3-1. Mike's 2-2 on the season. So we're both still looking good. Picks of the week. We'll give a lock and a dog. I will start us off with my lock. Dolphins -9.5 versus the Giants. I mean, I know we'll get another look at the Giants tonight as we record this, as they play the Seahawks. But people are like, I mean, is this not the Giants team that didn't score for like 6 quarters to start the year? Why are these like spreads so small? I mean, at least tonight spread against the Seahawks 2.5, and then Dolphins, like, I mean, this is a team that put up 70 the other day. Like, I know they lost to the Bills, but they still put up some numbers there. So like, why are we looking at 9.5 just because it's in New York? So I'm loving Dolphins -9.5, and then my dog. I'm telling you, I watched Kentucky over the weekend, and man, like that running game. I mean, their running back
Troy Bolton, right?
The running back, not what was his name? Troy Bolton from High School Musical.
The Wildcats, man.
Yeah, there you go. No, the guy, I forget this guy's name,
I
but
went right over your head.
he put up like 280 yards rushing or something. Like it was something insane. So they're plus 14.5 against Georgia. And this is one of those weird college football years where there's really no clear number one in college football right now. Like there's probably 8 or 9 teams, honestly, that could compete for a national championship. So I kind of like Kentucky covering over 2 touchdown mark there, 14.5.
I can see it, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be on the road, which is tough. But yeah, I mean, you just had this team beat Florida, and yeah, it was Ray Davis for Kentucky, the running back. This dude was destroying 280 yards, 3 touchdowns against Florida. It was crazy. So yeah, I love that one.
I love how you were like, no, not Bolton.
Yeah, not Troy Bolton. No, not Air Bud. I think it was somebody else.
So my lock this week is Detroit -9 versus Carolina Panthers. The Panthers just aren't a good football team.
Yeah.
Now, you look at them, they played the Vikings this past week, and the Vikings aren't that great this year. Now, I think they're a lot better than they actually are. But
they're sure trying to look way worse.
Yeah. I mean, the Panthers needed like a 99-yard pick six where, again, our boy Kirk Cousins got absolutely blown up.
He tried, man. I mean, he ran pretty darn far. Just to get destroyed.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with the Lions to win by double digits in that one. I don't think Bryce Young has the weapons right now.
Yeah.
I just don't think that, I think Detroit coming off a huge win against the Packers. I think that in the nice, balmy weather of Carolina, I think that they can actually go down and win by 2 touchdowns or something of that nature. My dog, I'm going to go with the Texans money line. I was going to go with the spread, which is 1, but who really cares at that point? It's either a tie or it's not.
Right.
But I'm going to go with the money line plus 120 for the Texans at the Falcons, because the Texans now are on a 2-game win streak where they beat the Jaguars and they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay. So, and honestly, I'm not going to lie, those red helmets are sick. The red helmets and the red jersey is sick, and I love that thing. So Texans money line plus 120.
Got it. Those are our picks. Feel free to ride them and win yourself some money. Win yourself some money, people. Before we wrap up, we're going to see if we can continue our streak of the Daily Dozen trivia. All right. We will start in the... We'll go sports first. We'll go top left with the NFL.
Okay.
Brock Lesnar left WWE in 2004 to pursue professional football and suited up in the preseason wearing number 69 for this NFC North team before ultimately being cut.
The Vikings.
Yeah, it's got to be, right? Vikings. Correct. Okay, 1 for 1.
Bingo.
NBA. Oh, this is easy. Once compared to Blake Griffin, what Eastern Conference team selected Jan Vesely 6th overall? This was tailor-made for us. Okay.
Our boys.
Wizards. All right. Football. College football. Before transferring to Delaware for the rest of his college career, Joe Flacco backed up Tyler Palko at the time Big East school in 2004. Yikes.
This one's going to be tough because I knew he went to Delaware because I actually went to a JMU Delaware game where he was a quarterback.
Oh, dang. Okay, well.
Yeah.
Thinking at the time Big East, which doesn't necessarily mean they're not in the Big East still. The way Barstool usually does it, it's like they were definitely in the conference in 2004. They could still be in there, or they could have moved conferences.
I think they moved.
Okay. We can always skip this one and come back to it.
Yeah, let's just skip. Let's go a little skippy.
History. As the story goes, this president, the 27th in the history of the United States, was so large that he once got stuck in a White House bathtub. That would be our boy Taft, for sure.
That's our boy Taft.
Correct. That's my idol, clearly. Celebrity mashup. I'll just knock this out.
I got it. It's Cena and Spears.
Yeah, for sure. John Cena,
Britney Spears.
Yeah, we're good.
That's a creepy looking thing.
Beverages. Created by Coca-Cola in 1999, this bottled water brand, often with a green cap, is often ranked as one of the worst bottled water brands on the market. Well, the only one that comes to mind for me for a green cap has got to be Dasani.
I love Dasani.
I know, so do I. But there's no other water bottle with a green cap.
Yeah, it's Dasani. Let's go with that.
Dasani. Okay, so we're 5 for 5, but we skipped college football, so we got to come back to that. Movies. This 1998 satirical psychological dramedy starring Jim Carrey received critical acclaim, including multiple Oscars and Golden Globe nominations.
Is it The Mask?
I don't think The Mask would be a psychological dramedy. I mean, it might be, but I don't know if that year's right. 1998. Problem is, Jim Carrey had this like run where he had like hit after hit,
12 movies in like 2 years.
And especially if we're talking about Oscars and things like that, I don't think he won anything for The Mask. The ones that are coming to mind.
Yeah, you would know more than I would.
I don't think Cable Guy won an Oscar. I'm thinking it's the movie that they love to show in school. At least for me, I remember them showing this, is The Truman Show. Where he's like in the fake, where he's like living, he doesn't know that he's like on a TV show sort of thing.
Okay, let's go.
All right, The Truman Show. All right, okay, we're good.
Nice, good pull.
All right, TV. Oh, I don't know if I know this. Michael J. Fox starred as Deputy Mayor Mike Flaherty in his ABC sitcom for 4 seasons until his health forced him to leave the show in 2000.
Is that West Wing?
No, he wasn't in. I mean, he might have made a guest appearance, but no, he wasn't. They wouldn't have like a Deputy Mayor Mike Flaherty.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah.
Uh-oh, our music is going out.
Yeah, that's because it knows that we're in trouble. Let's skip that one. Let's just finish off with music. This rock band that got founded in Maryland, okay, this will be up our alley, in 1996 has popular songs on Spotify such as Shattered, Love and Memories, and Hey Girl. If we're talking Maryland, I believe this would be OAR.
Okay.
The only other Maryland band I know is like Good Charlotte, and I don't think that's it. OAR. Okay.
All right.
Okay, so we have 2 categories here that are preventing us from a perfect score. So it's Joe Flacco backing up Tyler Palko. Does like Tyler Palko ring any bells for you?
I don't know who the hell that is.
Okay.
So think about the Big East schools that left. So Villanova's still there.
Yeah.
UConn's still there.
I think UConn was in my mind, but I don't know if I want to guess that. Because I don't think Joe Flacco would go to UConn, right?
Think about it. If he went to Delaware, you would think that it's was Rutgers in the Big East?
Where did they move from when they went to the Big Ten?
I thought they were in the Big East.
That sounds like it would be right from I don't know if that's
geographical location too. New Jersey to Delaware.
Yeah, right.
Because that's my best guess right now. Is because I know. Because he wasn't at Syracuse, I don't believe. Because Syracuse didn't leave until later. Louisville didn't leave until later. That's my best guess. But when did Rutgers move? That's the question.
I don't know. But you're right, like that.
Did Rutgers move with Maryland?
Is a good guess. It might have been. And that sounds like it.
If they moved with Maryland, then Maryland was still in the ACC until like 2009 or something like that.
So this was 2004 is when they, the school. So his school he played at before he transferred to Delaware. This was 2004. So, I mean, I'm good with trying Rutgers if that's what you think.
Or if he says at the time he transferred in 2004.
Yes.
So that doesn't mean that they were Big East or they were okay. So I think it might be Rutgers because they're not Big East anymore.
Right.
The geographical location. And also the sole fact that it says he transferred then. It didn't say that's when Rutgers moved.
All right, let's just do it. Rutgers. We're wrong.
Damn it.
All right, we'll see what the answer is once we do. And then television, I think neither of us have any idea. So I think we might only go 7 for 9 here. I don't even have a guess. I'm just gonna hit I give up because I have no freaking clue. All right, college football. It was Pitt.
Huh. Okay.
It was Pitt and television.
Interesting.
Spin City. I've never even heard of that, and I love TV. I've never heard of Spin City. All right, 7 for 9. 7 for 9. I mean, look, it was gonna happen. It was gonna happen. We were gonna have a lapse. But you know what? I don't feel bad about that because I'm looking at the percentage, and only for the TV, only 28% of people got the TV, and only 32% got the Pitt answer. So it's not like we're morons. Like most people got that wrong. NBA, only 24% got the Wizards.
Wow.
Music, only
that's
32% got OAR. And then beverages, 90% of people got Dasani. So that was
average score is 4.9.
4.9. So, dude, I mean, as long as we're staying above the average, we're looking good. I mean, think about this. We've gotten out of the 27 points possible so far, we've gotten 25 out of 27.
Right.
So I'm happy with it. Look,
I mean,
we're gonna have a bounce back. Look,
think about
Bills game, we're gonna bounce back.
65,000 have basically been completed, and only 2,000 have been perfect.
Yeah, that's just that just shows you this was a hard one. This was because, dude, Spin City. What are we talking about here? That's crazy.
Let's see, 2,000 divided by 65,000. That's only 3% of people have gotten perfect.
Yeah. All right, then I don't feel bad at all. I
don't feel bad. Let's make excuses.
Yeah. Pittsburgh, man. We missed out on that.
Yeah. All right, Troy Bolton.
Oh, well, yeah. Shout out to Troy Bolton. Shout out to John Z. Breaking news left and right.
We forgot to have him on. I totally forgot. Maybe we'll have we'll have it maybe next week. We'll have it when.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, maybe you should reach out next week.
Oh, yeah, because of the Bears game, too, so he can recap. Yeah. That's a good excuse for it.
Yeah, let's recap the Bears and see how his life's going.
Yeah, checking in with John Z maybe next week. We will be back. We, again, follow the show on Twitter at the DC Crossover and at Run16 and DC Crossover Podcast on TikTok. And we will see you next time. Go Commanders on Thursday. Beat down John Z's Bears. Okay? You got to beat. Make John sad. Make John sad.
Get that steak.